Hester said her phone just died. She went to go plug it in.
Oh, okay.
Wait, I don't know where Sarah Kroger is though. Partner, she needs to show up.
Yep, no, everybody will be here. Hey, everybody, and welcome. Thanks for being here tonight for the team call. For those of you who are catching the recording, thank you for taking the time. I'm really excited to be back. It's been a minute since I've been on a call with you guys. We were in the mountains on vacation and had very little to no Wi-Fi or internet, which was actually a blessing in two ways. It was a blessing for me to unplug and see like I could work my business very intentionally in these scheduled pockets of time where I went into town and sat in a coffee shop and did my work. But it also was a blessing to see y'all rise up. Like everybody like just rose up. Like the cathedral builders, we were chatting behind the scenes and I was like, I need someone to do this. And someone was like, I got it. And that's what's the beauty of this team. So tonight, on our call, we're going to talk about like mastering the invite process, but I want to tell you before we start with that it's really important you realize the value you have of being a part of a team, because the biggest fear people have with inviting is they feel like they have to master something before they try it. They have to feel like they have to be an expert before they do. And that's not how this works. And so tonight, what we're going to do is I'm going to talk about how you create a funnel in your business. And I have different coaches who are going to lean in and share their ways that they do the pieces of the invite process for you. And the reason is because there are multiple ways to do it. So my hope is that tonight you will hear the many different ways people do these things. And then through kind of like, say maybe you hear like Angie say something or Megan say something, you're like, I'm going to try that. You'll try that technique and then you'll develop your own. And then you'll be speaking on one of these calls in a few months and talk about how you do it and help a new coach figure it out. We literally spend time, just like we talk about on our coach webinar, where a few of us have been doing this a little longer and we learn and share what we're doing and it inspires you to learn your way. So know that these calls, our team calls, are really an important part of the business for two main things. They're going to provide training that's going to help you, but also keep you connected to the bigger picture so that when you are doing inviting and connecting, which is the foundation of your business, you know you're not alone. You know that you have other people that are in the trenches doing this with you. So a couple things. If you didn't know, Muscle Burns Fat is released this week for early release for coaches. If you are doing Muscle Burns Fat, number one, let me know, Sarah know, because we're doing it starting Monday and it'd be fun because we can tag each other on Instagram. Summer Tucker also put together Jen's doing it too. Cool. Summer put together a challenge group for coaches only. So if you want to be in with a lot of Team Courage coaches and she's on Facebook, she just threw one together for added community. It could be fun for you if it fires you up, to be a part of that. She also put together a summit group. Since summit is a week long next week and it is all like digital and online, I was really thankful that she put together this community so we can lean in the group and figure out how we can do the workouts together and do the trainings together and hang out with a larger team. And then we might also kind of develop some things as a team as well as we get ideas of just how to create a summit experience from home since we are not able to go this year. So just pay attention to the things that are being shared and posted in the team page. Make sure you're checking it every couple days because I don't think I'm in the matrix. Am I in the matrix? Can y'all hear me okay? You don't look like you're in the matrix. You look great. Not that the matrix is ugly, but you look great. So make sure you're leaning into the team page so that you see what's going on. And also that you're checking to make sure you're in the Beachbody Champions Facebook page, which I will share a link to that page. It's a private Facebook group, and that's where the summit trainings are going to be. They're not going to be on a Zoom like they did that Super Saturday. They're actually going to be live in the Facebook page. So make sure that you're in there. And when we hop off the call tonight, if I forget, somebody post the Beachbody Champions group into the team page so everyone can request to join. So we can participate in the trainings next week. But it's a very exciting time, guys. We're in the second half of the year, and I know there's a lot of craziness going on in the world. What else is new? But I've learned one thing. When you have forced time of how much you're allowed to spend on technology, you don't waste time chasing stuff that stresses you out. And so I want to encourage you to like really spend the time that you're on Facebook or Instagram or whatever outlet you do to connect, that you are thinking that your job right now is to be that light in this culture right now where there's a lot of just anger and frustration and overwhelm, and that you're speaking to the needs of people, because we have something that's really powerful to give people. And so I made a PowerPoint to do the first part of tonight, and then I'm going to stop the screen share and do like kind of interview style. I'll call on the coaches who are going to help. So bear with me because I'm still trying to figure out how this thing works without making the whole screen blow up. Can you see this? Okay. All right. Wait, what are you doing now? Hold on. I don't know what it's doing. Oh, there we go. And now you can't, okay. So, wait a minute. There you go. Mastering the invite process. And it twinkles. I was very excited about that. Okay, I'm gonna move the pictures because I can't see. Okay, so before you invite every day, before you sit down to do your power hour, these are cards that I've made. If you would like one, you can just message me your address and I will mail you one. And it has a power hour prayer. This is also posted in the announcement of our team page. This is something I pray most days before I work, and it really helps me to do the things I'm about to share, especially the first one. And it's to believe, like before you work, you got to check your heart. You need to get into a good spot. You need to have a playlist. You need to have something you do that literally is your pregame. Summer Tucker recommends like reading your before I was a coach and now, and before I was a challenger and now. For me, it's putting on some fun music and I dance around and I get in a really good mood and I work. Like, but if I'm really struggling, it's going to the team page and looking at the transformation pictures that you guys posted today. You know, it's tapping into our why and remembering what our life was like before and how this opportunity has blessed us, and then taking that passion and reaching out to add value to others. It's not about us. It really isn't. And so if you're not in a good heart space, a lot of times what happens is you're thinking so much about yourself. And I was working with my mindset coach. He tells me all the time, like, well, who are you thinking about right now? And I'm like, me. You know what I mean? So thinking about, like I've heard it said before, how it's going to feel when the other person says yes. You know, when someone shares their coach story, like Sarah shared, because it's her coach anniversary, like that, reminding myself of her journey and her yes motivates me to invite more people to coach, right? So part of this too is like reading one another's posts and elevating one another too, to be inspired, because you want to give that gift to other people. Second is learning to listening to hear and help, not respond. So having a posture of service and adding value and building relationships. When you are going to reach out to people, it's not to say, hey, how is it going? Happy birthday. And then they say, thank you. And then you say, want to join my challenge group, which we're going to talk about tonight. And if you need books on this, there are tons of books. There are podcasts on learning to listen. I love to talk, and I am not the best listener. I'm really not. I wish to say I was, but I'm not. I've gotten a lot better. I used to listen to respond all the time. I catch myself now, which is good. Like my husband was sharing with me today, and I wanted to insert something right away to connect to him. And I'm like, shut up, Kelly, and just listen, right? So I'm learning to do that with challengers. I mean, with potential challengers, with asking more questions. There was a book that just released, and I can't remember the name, but she did the National Wake Up Call. And if any of you guys, it was on negotiating, know what I'm talking about, can you type the book in the chat? If not, I'll figure it out. But there's like lots of good PD on this. And I've developed my listening skills over the years, which has been great. And it's helped me be a better wife, better mom, better friend, and a better coach. And then consistency. You have to be committed to this daily with heart, hustle, and humility. We will not always get it right, but if we sincerely share our hearts with others in a genuine way, we are patient with them in the process, we will find success through helping them find success first. So you're going to screw up. I mean, my epic messaging screw up of all time was when I forwarded a bunch of hey girl messages to a bunch of dudes. Like I sent a hey girl want to join my challenge group to like 3 different dudes because I was copy pasting and not thinking. And thankfully they know me. And my friend Deacon Russ was like, hey girl back. Is this for guys? And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. But I mean, whatever. I learned, So, I mean, I've done other worse things, but that one was one of my favorite goof ups. All right, let me see if I can get this. Okay. So, what is creating a funnel? It means taking people from the cold market to customers to coaches, supported through building authentic relationships. And there's a typo because it wouldn't be a PowerPoint of mine if that one. Supported. All right, this is your funnel. All conversations and connections are meant to create your funnel. Not everyone's going to say yes or be ready to start, but they all play a part, whether it is to give feedback, refer someone, build relationships for later, and you need people to say no in order to keep your funnel flowing. Tonight, we're going to talk about how different coaches do each part of this funnel. Each of us has our own flavor, so be ready to lean in and inspired to find yours. So if you look at this, guys, it narrows on purpose. It has new ads, new conversations, warm connections, invites to challenge, inviting to coach, and referrals. And as it moves down, it's narrower because you invite, I think sometimes we feel like we're going to invite 100 people and it's going to overwhelm us because they're all going to say yes, but they don't. And that's a good thing. You know what I'm saying? Because as you funnel people down, more people are saying no, or they're ignoring you or not getting back to you. And it's helping you really crystal clear focus on the people who are ready now. And so tonight we're going to share, and then I'm going to tell you what to do with the people that ghost you and to do with the people that tell you no, because every person you know knows like 2,000 people you don't know. Like, and I remember going to a training back in a few years back, and the woman who trained us, Danny Johnson, talked about this, and she said how like every person has their own pond of fish, and someone in their pond who you don't know needs you or might need you, and you need to connect with that person to maybe help them or help someone they know. And so that's why referrals is at the bottom, because it's another way to wrap up a conversation, which I'm going to talk about at the end. Okay. So before I move on with my flashy slides, I'm going to ask people to go through the different stages of the funnel and share briefly like how they do that. But I also want you to ask questions in the chat, and also if you have ways to add, like so I'm going to talk to Megan and Sarah Hesser first. And if they're sharing about how they add, if you have something they haven't shared, put it in the chat, because that's valuable information that we can all learn. Okay. So Sarah or Megan, who wants to go first? Sarah. Is that a surrender or a yes me?
Both.
Okay, so can you share a little bit about how you find and add new people to your list?
So usually the first place I start is Facebook, because I don't like being on Facebook, and so I make myself do it first. But I'll go through my suggested friends, because at this point 99% of my suggested friends are people that I actually know and just have not friended on Facebook yet. So I'll go through them and I'll friend people on there. And then the other thing I did, which Megan did as well, we were both just in a due date group. So I friended a bunch of people from that because I wanted to be friends with them. That's usually what I do. And then if I'm in a bunch of different groups for different things, and if I interact with someone on a post, I'll friend them too, and then I'll count that as an ad.
That's awesome. So tell me like what kind of groups you belong to, so people can know about like how you can find groups. Can you just share a few of them besides the due date topic?
Yeah, so okay, the due date one, I'm in a Catholic working moms group. I'm in a bunch of breastfeeding support groups. What else? Those are the main ones that I'm in. I'm in a like clean living, like non-toxic thing. And then I'm in a car seat one, which is a very weird group to be in, but
that's good, because it's just things that are important to you right now, and you're going to relate to the people in that stage.
Yeah, and those are mostly like one of the things I was told to do to begin with is like imagine the people you want to reach, you want on your team. Most of them are moms. Most of them are like, I'm in a bunch of nursing groups too, like the profession of nursing.
Gotcha.
As well. So most of them are moms or nurses or both and stuff like that. So
that's awesome. Thank you. All right, Megan.
Okay, so Yes, just like Sarah said, I used that group. Okay, also, I don't like being in a lot of interest groups on Facebook, so I am like very specific about what groups I'm in. Actually, I'm only in groups that like intentionally serve me. So like I love our due date group because it's all people of the same faith and the babies are due within like 60 days of each other. So it's that group I love, and every time this was like my third time being in one. But yeah, it's definitely a place where I've found people to serve. And then another way that I find people is going to people who are more popular than I am or are actually like a public figure in a realm that I'm interested in. And I'll look at their followers and just kind of like creep on their followers basically and like look at their pages and see if they are people that I want to be friends with in real life. Just based on their Instagram. I'm a big Instagrammer. Most of my work is on Instagram. The only ads that I really do on Facebook are my suggested friends, to be honest. But yeah, so Instagram, I'll go to those people that are more popular than me or are a public figure, and I'll go through their follower list, and then I'll check, people's profiles, or I'll just like add people that don't have a public profile. And then another thing that I've been doing is going through Jake's followers and friending and following his people, which is a super easy transition to a connection because you're like, my spouse, like it's very easy. So if you're not married, you could do that with like your best friend or your siblings' friends. Easy. Did you want me to talk about the first list when you first start?
What I was going to say is like for brand new coaches, like what would you tell them to do? Because they already have like quite a few people they haven't talked to. So what's the balance with like a new coach with adding versus connect? You know what I'm trying to say? Like counting people that they're already friends with.
I think I missed half of what you said because you went into the matrix.
Oh no. Okay, I'm back.
Sorry, can you repeat it?
Can you just share, like, for a person that's a new coach, what would you recommend that they do when it comes to adding new people when they haven't even really talked to the people they already have?
Just make it a habit, because if you don't make it a habit, your funnel will run dry. So I always thought it was really helpful to have the advice of like having those first 100 names and then working through that. But as you're doing your 2, 2, and 2, you should always just be adding at least 2 people, because especially if you're not working off those finds, those people are starting to see what you're doing, who you are, what you're about, telling their friends to follow you. And eventually, that's how you build your following. And that's how you make that transition into having people to connect with a lot easier than just trying to reach out to, the people you already know well.
Awesome. Thank you. Because I feel like sometimes that's a key piece to this is like taking those steps at the beginning as a new coach. So the second part, once you've added people, is you want to start connecting with them. It's not just every action you take is intentional. Like you heard, they're connecting with people, they're adding people because they want to connect with them because they have things to build upon. And so next, we're going to talk with Jen and Angie, who are going to talk about how they do the connecting process. So
I'll go first.
Okay.
So for me, I've been a coach since the fall, I think. Am I right, Angie? She's my coach. So in learning all of this, how I connect with people is once I add them, I will go into their page and I will look at their photos on their page. I will see some things that are new about them. And usually what I do is I will like 2 photos and then I'll comment on a photo and have, try to get some connection there. And then another thing that I do also is the birthdays, always doing the, happy birthdays to people, but not just happy birthday on maybe their story or something, but I'll personally message them so that they knew I took time, out of my time to go and do that, and not just throw it up on their page or the happy birthday story. And that's gone a long way for me, I'll tell you, because people they'll email me back and say, that was so nice of you to think of me, and to do that. And it's just that one extra step. So that's kind of what I do. That's been helping me along big time. I just actually added my hygienists at my dentist's office. So places that you've been, I was like, thinking of different funnels and different people and all that. And I'm a school counselor. And so on Instagram, over this quarantine time, I had been meeting up with all kinds of different school counselors throughout the United States, just trying to see what they're doing with their job during quarantine. And we've been chatting along with that. And then I've made connections through there. And I actually am talking to 2 people right now that might sign up for a challenge. So because
awesome.
they started friending me and watching my stories. And so that was and I helped them out on a panel I was on for them. So it's been a really good connections, and I love meeting new people. So it's been really good.
Well, and I think like what I'm seeing that you're doing, Jen, that I think that is important for y'all to notice is like it's not limiting who you're talking to. It's not thinking, oh, I can't talk to that person because they're a hygienist. Well, why can't you talk to that person? You know what I mean? Because what we have can help anybody, So like sometimes I think we try to discount someone before we even make the effort. And I love happy birthdays. I've had people who send me happy birthdays where they sing a video, which is really cute, or like a GIF, which is kind of fun. But what's nice about happy birthday messages is they actually cycle through your friends list too. So if you do them every day, you end up by the end of the year hitting all of the friends on your friends list, which is kind of a neat thing too, because it kind of, works its way through. So thank you so much. All right, Ms. Angie.
All right, so I do a lot of the same things that Jen does, but the thing that I had to figure out when I started was I needed to understand that when I was connecting with people, I was becoming friends with them. And I had to wrap my head around, I'm not just trying to sell them something. I'm not just connecting so that I can go to the next step or get them to buy something or sell them something. Yeah, I have something that can help anybody if they will join me, but if they don't, that's not what I'm in for when I do my connections. So when I do my connections, I am doing them with the purpose of being friends. So if they're having a hard day they post it on Facebook or Instagram, I will send them a private message saying, I see you're having a hard day. If they have a new baby, I will send them something that says, I had postpartum. This is what I went through. Are you having any of these symptoms? I'm just checking in because I check in with everybody I see that has a new baby, that kind of stuff. And I try to share a little bit about what I am doing in my life or what has happened to me when I connect with people, especially on some of those. Because I don't want to just, I love, when I had my birthday just a couple of days ago, very few people sent me a message. A lot of people posted on my wall, which takes forever to go back and say thank you to. It takes forever. I still haven't done it all. But only like 4 people sent me an actual message. And so when you do that, you're standing out to them and you haven't even done anything huge. You've just sent them happy birthday, but so few people do it that it makes a difference. So when you think about doing connections, it's just being friends. And that way it doesn't seem scammy or weird or salesy also, because you're just checking in with them. How are they doing? And so I do that in groups as well. So like if I friended someone like Megan would have in one of her pregnancy groups, if I friend them and they haven't checked in for a while or they're not showing up in the group and they used to, I might send them a message saying, are you okay? I haven't seen you. And just kind of keep them on your list. And just so you know, I think putting them on your list is respectful. It's not spammy also, because you're checking in and you're like, there was something there. I think I could help her, and she's not checking in anymore. I need to check in on her again. And so you're being helpful by being friends. So
No, I love that, because the thing is, when you add people, you're adding people to the top of your funnel. When you make a list of people you're connecting, you're starting to intentionally connect with people. And as a coach who's building this business, that's like 2 people a day. If you have bigger goals, you can do more than 2. But when you're starting out, it's 2 people a day. So you get to intentionally touch the lives of at least 2 people, or if you want to do more than that, like that's totally okay. But it's like nowadays, I know it's so crazy, but we live in a time where we're walking around and people aren't talking to each other. So if you're in a grocery store and you actually start a conversation with a person, like that's like I did it when we were traveling. I made a stop somewhere and the lady had nice earrings and she looked really kind of grouchy. And I was like, oh my gosh, your earrings are so fun. And she's like, yours are too. And I'm like, where did you get yours? And like, it like elevated the whole mood when I walked away. And that's kind of what we get to do. Right. So like Angie was saying, like it's being responsible and careful when you write it down.
and you don't want to say, how are you doing? How's your postpartum, or how's nursing, or how's the baby, or whatever, and then not show up for 2 months. So if I send them a question, I will put them down as a follow-up for later on. And sure, there are people who've slipped through the cracks. There are people I've forgotten. But like when Jen hadn't joined me, I think
Oh, you froze. It's like a cliffhanger.
sorry, I don't know where you stopped.
You
Where
said
did it stop?
when Jen, okay, you're talking about with Jen.
when Jen had stopped being a coach and had left before, I checked in about every 6 to 8 weeks. Just, how are you doing? I miss you. How are things going? Just not because I wanted her to buy something, but she was important and she'd been in my groups and I wanted to know how she was. And she's a coach. Here she is. She talked first.
Yeah.
She knows what she's doing.
So true. So true. No, this is really good. And so the papers, and I'm going to talk a little about this at the end of how you can track this for those of you guys that are like, well, how do you track it? Like, I'm going to talk a little bit about that at the end. So once you've added people and then you've connected with people, the next step is to send the invite. And we have this land of the middle forming, where you're kind of like, I like you, but do I want to ask you out or do I not? And like the best analogy ever, I remember Sarah and I were talking and I was like, it's like, you're not asking him to marry you, but it feels like it. You're literally asking him to like sit down and have a cup of coffee, right? So I was asking Sarah and Allison to talk a little bit about like that transition and then the invite process. So who would like to go first? Don't both jump. Okay, Allison pointed to you, Sarah.
I just feel like I have a lot to say and I want to give poor Allison a chance. But I also feel like I might be a little bit of an antithesis, at least to what it sounds like at first, to what Angie just said. But I think we're saying the same thing, just in a different way. Because I am like, the thought of having 10 new best friends every month is like, I'm out. So I would say it's okay to friend someone, talk to someone, invite someone just to see if they're a good fit for joining you. And I think that Angie and I are saying the same thing because, yeah, if I'm asking a genuine question, if I'm asking a personal question, I'm asking it genuinely. And I really do care about this person. And they may or may not be in my daily life down the line, and that's okay. And so I think we're saying the same thing, but I just remember when people were like, oh, when you invite somebody, it's like you're getting all these new best friends. And I'm like, oh, that sounds terrible. Like, I can't handle all these. I can't handle that much excitement. Like, it's just too much for me.
Well,
and so
I think what you're both saying is Sarah, is like, it's like you can connect with people and do it your way, but you don't have to feel like you have to emotionally carry that person.
Well, and I can really genuinely mean it. Like Angie's talking about genuinely meaning it. So when I'm forming with someone, I'm really genuinely asking questions. And there might be a formula that I'm following. Like I'm trying to find a little bit about them. But like, I'm not interviewing my next new super bestie, right? And so like I don't have to know like their deepest, darkest secrets from their childhood before I can invite them to. And I know Angie doesn't do it that way. I don't mean to set myself up against her. Like that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is it didn't. I would get caught up in the needing to know all the things before I can invite people. And so I would get caught up in that middle forming ground that Kelly was talking about all the time, where there wasn't
be a J.R. Tolkien novel.
It wasn't a big like flashing need all the time. And I had to kind of play it. Sometimes somebody would have a need right off the bat. But even then, I think taking it a little bit slowly is good. Like even if someone, you know their need from the second you friend request them, you still have to build that trust and that relationship with them and show that you genuinely care and that you aren't just going to ask them some deep burning question and then disappear, right? But the thing that I always have to remind myself of is that if you aren't being slimy, then you're not being slimy. You know, like people are like, well, I don't want to invite and have it be slimy. I'm like, well, are you being slimy? Because if you're not, then it's not slimy, right? If you are genuinely asking about someone, and I'm going to be really, really honest, I talk to way more people than I'm going to have in my inner circle of deep, close friends, right? And some people want as many friends as there are days in the year. And that's great, right? But yeah, good call, Sarah Hesser. But if you are talking to people, I talk to way more people than I can emotionally like have in my inner circle. And that's okay because I can serve you without being your best friend. I can set you up with, I can hear your need. I can support you. I can give you what you, I mean, it's like, think about going to the doctor or going to see a therapist or something like that. They can serve you without you being best friends forever. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, getting support in the group too, teaching people, because honestly, what I would love to do for every challenger is set them up so well that they need less and less from me as time goes on. Mm-hmm. That they're learning what they can do for themselves. And this is a little off topic, but so I'll rein it back in, but that it sets them up well then to coach. If I'm teaching them how to serve themselves and how to see needs in others, that's setting them up well to coach. In terms of converting a conversation into an invite, I think that there's a couple of pieces of it. One is just the consistency. If you do this every day or 4 or 5 times a week, then last month's conversations are this month's invites. And so your very first month, you might have to be stretching to invite people, but your very first month of coaching, you're inviting people who already know and trust you. So you don't have to build trust with them. And down the line, see, now I've invited all of my family and friends over the course of the last several years. It doesn't mean I won't re-invite some of them if a need pops up. It doesn't mean there might be a season where they need something that they didn't need in the past. But in terms of my invites, all of my invites are people that I don't know. Honestly, on my team right now, I mean, Karen's on the call tonight. I knew her because we went to church together, but she didn't join me when we went to church together. She joined me long after that, right? But like Andrea and I never met in real life. Beth and I have met a couple of times in real life. Like the people that I've now gotten to know really well and love very deeply, because just like in your funnel, as people are like new challengers, ongoing challengers, coaches, and then coaches who are really digging in and growing, I mean, that's a funnel as well, people that you get closer to. And so when I am moving towards an invite, at the very beginning, it's people who already know and trust you. So consistency pays off because then the people you're talking to now, you build that trust with that you can invite down the line. But it also can be that an invite can kind of be the beginning of the conversation, because my favorite invite is, you know, I know we've never talked about this, but I'm getting ready to start a new group. Would it serve you to talk about some health and fitness goals? That's an invite. but it's also the it's also the beginning of a conversation. But I'm not worried about that because they'll still be here in a month or so because they're still on my list and I'm still talking to them periodically and they still pop up. I also, in terms of lists, I used to stress out about losing people, and I just trust the grace of God. And if somebody comes to mind or pops up in my feed, I message them and I tell them, like, I know we haven't talked in a while, but you popped up in my feed today, or you came to my mind today, and I thought I'd reach out and see how you're doing. We haven't talked since you had dental surgery. How's your mouth feeling? Kind of thing, or whatever it is. You know, like I would just get so scrupulous about, oh my gosh, well, if I talk to 10 people this week and 10 people next week, then how long do I have to hold on to those first 10 people? And 6 months from now, that's 5 million people I have to message every day. And like, you gotta let that go. Because those people, you have to trust that God will put people in your path. Yeah, and Megan said in the chat, invites are often what I have to do to make the connection turn into forming intentionally. Yes, I agree with that. And when I would view it as the beginning of the process versus the end of the process, that makes a huge difference. So if it's naturally flowing, that's fine. But if you're just talking like small talk, chit chat with this person forever, sometimes you just got to be like, I don't know if you've ever thought about this, but would it serve you to have a conversation about health and fitness goals? I'm getting ready to start. Or if somebody says, how are you doing? I'm like, I'm awesome. I'm getting ready. I'm setting up all my new challengers for my challenge group right there. Boom. Have you ever thought about, like you can, if someone asks how you're doing, you can intentionally insert coaching or your group, or I'm starting a new program. How was your day? It was awesome. I did the first workout of my brand new program. I don't know. It was crazy. I've never thought I would be doing something like this. Do you guys work? Do you work out? You can turn that, if you're doing it, like Megan said in the chat, intentionally, you can shift it because it's okay that you're talking to them for the sake of forming to see if it would work towards an invite.
Yes.
And last thing I want to say is that, okay, well, I have two things. One is real quick though. Don't be afraid to be specific, because a lot of us want to cast our net really wide so we can catch everybody, and you end up serving no one because you're not going to go to an auto mechanic for ice cream. Do you know what I mean? Like if you have a need, you're going to go to someone who fits that need, and you're going to go to somebody who's really specifically connecting with you. So like Megan got to be in this test group that I'm dying to find out about for a new like pregnancy postpartum program. And she is going to specifically target that group of people. And that is a good thing. And it is okay if a meathead guy decides to go with another coach and not the woman who can't stop talking about postpartum stuff. Like that's okay, because there are so many people in that category who she can serve well. It doesn't mean if somebody comes to her that she's not going to serve them well, but it means she doesn't have to pursue everybody. So if you are like, this happened to me when 2B Mindset came out. I was pregnant and not able to work out at the time. And that was the biggest boom of my business ever, because I was passionately following this program and loved it and talked about it. And guess what? Everybody who signed up with me was a 2B Mindset kind of person, because I attracted the people who really needed the exact same thing that I needed in that moment. So now for real, the last thing is just a statement on belief, because I can't let you get off with me without that. That if you believe that this really works and it's changed your life, you don't have to worry about saying that too strongly. And you don't have to worry about saying that too boldly. And you just have to remind yourself that not everybody is now where you are now. Mm-hmm. Some people are where you started when you were really skeptical and you were really afraid to start something new and you were really afraid to make that step. You just have to remember that. And that doesn't mean that you don't invite them, but it means they probably need more than one nudge, just like you did. And you will never outdo the person who publicly said no to Kelly before she even invited her. Publicly, it comes up every year in Facebook. It just happened a couple weeks ago. Publicly said a big giant best of luck, I'm not interested.
And joined me
before
a
she
year
even
later.
tried it. I know.
But just so it was a year later, like, so giving it time. And I was terrified to invite Sarah because she knew more about nutrition than I did. And I knew if anybody could tell me Shakeology really sucked, it would be her. And I was so scared of her, like, inviting her, you know, because my belief was like, I knew I loved it, but what if I was wrong? And now look, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, no, I agree. Like, I think, and that's the beauty. Like, I think most of us here would have said, we probably said no the first time or rolled our eyes at some coach online or, yeah.
Or three.
No, that was good. Right?
And just like we needed to find the person that we trusted. Like the reason that I said yes to Kelly is because I watched her consistency and I saw her heart. And when she was inviting me, she was genuinely inviting me with heart to something that she believed would help me, that she knew had helped her and believed would help me. And that was what she was doing. And in all honesty, I don't want to say we weren't friends, but like we knew each other and we were friendly, but we weren't real like close friends when we started. I was somebody who was in her circle. We had a lot of friends in common, but we weren't super close when she invited me. And so it wasn't like, I don't know, you don't have to be best friends with everybody before you can invite them to something that you believe can help them.
Yeah, no, that was really good. I'm glad you talked about that because I think it's the whole don't hold someone else's future captive. And like Tracy Morrow said, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person.
Or the right thing to the wrong person, really. And that's why you shouldn't just beg people to join you, because I was talking to one of my coaches earlier today who had somebody leave and then kind of ghost her. And I was like, yeah, maybe you dodged a bullet. That person sounds really hard to satisfy. Like, you want the right people with you. And so you've got to just train yourself to not be devastated when someone says no, because that's just not the right time for them or the right person for you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. All right, Miss Allison.
Okay. Hi, y'all. So mine's a little bit more technical. I did a little bit more of a technical, I guess.
Perfect.
For this call, but I wanted to show that I use that 2222 tracker. It's my favorite, and I know Kelly said she was going to mention it later, something about the forms, but that's how I'm specifically talking about follow-ups because I have a binder and I keep all of my 222 trackers, and I've been working the business for exactly a year. It was a year in June 29th. But I was just a discount coach, just really getting the discount on the products before then. So I have a year's worth of the 2222 trackers. And so what I'll do is if after I've connected and invited someone, I'll flip back to the page or two before of people that I haven't heard a response from. And that's a follow-up. So they'll write their name down in the follow-up section. And I just want to reiterate, like, there's so much to be said for being you're genuinely reaching out to people because you have a gift that you want to share with them. So whenever I get that little evil thing in my head, that mean girl that says you're nagging them, you have to put that away in a box, because if Kelly wouldn't have, and Sarah was kind of talking about that, if Kelly wouldn't have reached out to me, you know, and asked me about discount coaching for probably the year before she did, you know, I wouldn't be where I am now. So you could be potentially saving someone, right? So, and I also saw on Beachbody Champions page, somebody talked about the percentage, and I don't remember what it is, but most of the people that you end up getting as a customer to serve, you've had to follow up with them like 6 or 7 times or something like that, something crazy. But it's just confirming that the follow-up is really, there's so much value in that, because just because they say no or they ghost you the first time does not mean that it's just maybe not their time. And I also think a good tip is if they say, like, if you follow up with them and say, look, you know, Beachbody is what we're doing as our job on social media. So that's what our mind is about when we get online. but other people may be checking their messages in a Walmart grocery store line, right? And so they're not thinking to respond right away. And they honestly are not maybe ghosting you. They just didn't get a chance to respond to you yet. And they're busy moms, like we all are working full time, whatever your case may be. You know, you get home and you just forgot. You've got to follow up with them to answer their message. So a lot of times I lean in with that as a follow-up. You know, if you're like me, you probably were checking messages in the grocery store checkout line and you forgot to respond, or if you didn't, that's okay too. But I just wanted to reach out to you and let you know I'm still thinking about you, and does this sound like something that would serve you at this time? And if they say no, you know, I would just say, if you'd like, I can just send you a free workout clip, kind of leave them with some value, you know, like a free workout clip right now. Like we have the access to the muscle burns fat workouts, free workout or a recipe, just leave them with some value, so that they can have something to look at, you know. I have never had anybody that has told me, stop, leave me alone. I have never had anybody that has done that. I mean, if I've been ghosted twice in a row, really, Andrea? Oh, I mean, if I've been ghosted after 2 follow-ups, like if they have not answered me after the second time at all, then I'll probably just leave them alone for a while, maybe forever. I don't know, but I've never had anybody really just say, please leave me alone. So I think it does rarely happen. So I'm sorry that happened to you, Andrea, because I mean, maybe you just hit the wrong person at the wrong time, but, and it might still happen to me. It just hasn't happened to me yet, you know, but we just have to get tough skin, I guess, and realize that we are offering such a gift, and following up is definitely key, because like I said, people are busy or they have, you know, it's just not their time, but maybe when you follow up with them, it's their time.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the night that they just have had enough and they're dreading getting on the scale the next morning, and they're like, you know what? She reached out to me again. She's obviously interested in helping me, and I'm just going to say yes this time. So that's really all I have.
No, that's so perfect, because I think I've been blocked twice in 7 years. And both times I got blocked, it hurt bad. And I actually had, like, one of the last times it happened, I asked Megan, I talked through it with Megan Kaufman. I was like, this is what I did and this is what I said, just to check myself. And she was like, it's not you. Does that make sense? And it still bugs me.
I may have been blocked. I don't even know.
But twice in 7 years, you know what I'm saying? Like, if I had let that hold me back, this wouldn't be happening. And I have to remember that. And so I love how you said, because they say the fortune's in the follow-up. They say someone can't tell you no more than 7 times in a row. So the 8th time is usually when you get a yes. And you can space that out. But I've had so many people when I've messaged them month after month after month. And if I invite them 3 months in a row and they don't answer, then I send messages of how are you? Like, and they'll say, thank you for never stopping messaging me. Like, I don't want, you know, I've never had someone say, like, leave me the heck alone. Like, the 2 people that I blocked me was different. But my point is, it actually shows you care, and it's not just a sale when you're intentional enough to follow up with people and check on them. But I also think, and I'm going to talk about this too, like, you don't have to do, like she said, she'll do it a few times, and if she doesn't hear back, she kind of lets them go for a while. And then Sarah mentioned that maybe they'll pop in your head because you're scrolling through and you see them. So you don't need to worry about having them on a page somewhere with a special color-coded highlighter to know that you got to, like, don't put that pressure on yourself, because there are a lot of people for you to help. So what I want to share with you guys this last few little bits is, can y'all see this okay? Because I think the picture's in a weird spot. We talked about the different phases. The last 2 parts of the funnel was inviting to your team and referrals. And we're going to talk more about inviting to your team later, like before the Coach Works webinar this month. But who do you invite to your team? A challenger who's showing enthusiasm and participation through serving them. You see how you see a, oh my goodness gracious, typo central, blah. Okay, so basically I'm just going to go with this. you have a challenger who's rocking it or has a quality and you see it and you admire it, you say to them, I love how you are consistently rocking your journey. Have you ever thought about doing what I'm doing? I love how you comment on people's pages, or you share your personal development, or you are such a positive light. And then you invite them to our webinar. And you can do this with people who are not challengers. If you see something in them and know them and have formed well enough in them, it's totally fine. I have some coaches that signed up this month that are not been challengers yet, but they're doing their first 30 days in a challenge group, right? To like learn the process. But it's a narrower funnel. You have the yeses for that you get for challenge groups, and then that is where your coaches come from. And then the last part of the funnel is referrals. Anyone who tells you no or tells you not now. This is something I do not utilize enough. And an example of how to follow up and wrap up the conversation, Allison talked about giving them a piece of value. I've got 10 workouts on a PDF. Would you like them? I have some recipes for the summer. I got a fun recipe that was just shared in my challenge group. You know, can I send you some recipes to help right now? But you can also say something like, I can see this is not the right time, and I want you to know I'm here to support you where you are and help when you feel ready. Also, if you don't mind me asking, can you think of anyone who may benefit from this kind of community or support? You choose the word. Right now, I'd be so thankful to have the opportunity to chat with them and help them. Like, I've had this and offered this to people, and I've had referrals sent to me the last few months that I never had before. You can reword it however you want, and I'm going to share a document in the team page that has this without all the massive typos. But when someone tells you no, you can still say a few things. This referral, can I share with you something? Or would you like me to keep you in the loop for groups coming up in August or September? And they might say, check on me in September. Do you know what I'm saying? So it gives you something to continue a conversation with them about. How to avoid a constipated funnel. Okay, this is like the funniest thing I ever read in a book called Get Over Your Damn Self, which is the most intense book I've ever read, and I don't recommend it necessarily to people who don't like having someone tell them to get over them damn selves. But anyway, I learned this from it. I read this book and it blew my mind. You want to know at the end of the month or your process, because you might do this the first 2 weeks, like whenever you finish your process with each person, they need to do one of the following. Like they need to either say yes, say not now, which means they go on a list for later and you can use a referral, say no, and you can use a referral and take them off your list until a later time. Like if you're like, yeah, it's not a good fit, you decide. And if they ghost you, move them back to the top. If you really want to help them, like move them back to your connections, or just take them off the list if you feel things are cold and just not moving. But here's the thing, if you try to keep everybody ever, the craziest things I ever did was when I literally would keep every invite list I had for an entire year. And I had like, I think I finally threw them away, like a thick book of all of these lists, because I was terrified I was going to miss someone's name. And you know what I was doing? I was missing the people who were ready to start because I was putting this heavy amount of pressure on myself. You need people to tell you no to get them out of the funnel. You need to flush the funnel because the people will get stuck up top and not be able to move down. The purpose of the funnel is to move people through. If someone tells you no, then they can circle back up and be a connection again, or they can refer someone to be one. We have to get the scarcity mindset out of our mind, out of our head, that we can't, that we're going to lose that one person. Like Sarah said, pray about it. Like literally, God will prompt me to just reach out to people and I'll randomly write their name on my bat and then I will go and just send them a message. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times I'll tell them like, I know it sounds crazy, but I just felt like I was supposed to message you. And they're like, no, thank you so much. So don't worry about it. The people that you're talking to about postpartum or about their nursing or about their job or about their whatever surgery, those are the names you do want to protect because you have deep conversation with. But all of the happy birthdays and all of the other things, if you miss following up with one of those, they're not going to feel personally hurt, and you don't need to give yourself that pressure. Something that I did do every once in a while, if I like kind of had wrapped up my list on like a Friday, is I would hit on the chat like unread messages and go all the way down and I would clean them out. Like I would just do one full hour of cleaning them out, and not all of them had to be responded to, right? but you don't want to constipate your funnel. So the no is how you flush it. You need to lean into the team. During the process, you have your coach to give you feedback. You can lean into the team page to ask for help with each phase of the funnel. Our team calls create a space to build belief in the business and sharpen our skills. So many typos. I need a new assistant. Our challenge groups create a space to build belief in your story and to know that you're never alone. I think that. So the last thing I'm going to tell you is tracking your business relieves stress and helps you manage your time. You need a list for your connections that you add to when you add new people. I use this little one, the 100 conversations. This is what I do. You need a list for your invites and a place to take notes. This is on the back of the 100 conversations. It's the list for my invites and a place to take notes. And then you need a checklist every day, like the one that Allison showed you. And then I made one that's just a checklist that doesn't have names on it, but they're all in Unit 2, where you're checking off that you did each part of the funnel so you know. You need to reverse engineer your goal. If you want to hit Success Club, you need to send 30 invites a month. If you want to hit Success Club 10, I recommend 60 invites a month. To add 1 to 2 coaches a month as a building coach, you want to be adding 1 to 2 coaches a month. You want to send 2 to 3 coach invites a week, or since we do a webinar, invite 12 people to the webinar. And sometimes it's the same person each month, but you do need some new people that are included in that. But all of those materials are in Unit 2. And then if you go all the way to the bottom unit, there's this sheet with the invite on the back. It's just this Power Hour tracking sheet. So I put some other options. I hope this call helped. I hope this helped for all y'all here, just to hear like everyone does it a little different. But the key is by doing it consistently, you figure out your method, and then you can help your coaches figure out theirs. And it's the same concept, but we all have our own flavor. Get some probiotics in the funnel. I have to think on that analogy a little bit.
Hey, here we go. Can I say something real quick, Kelly?
Yeah.
I just put, in case you're not looking at the chat, or if you're watching the recording and you want me to send you the text of this, I can. I just put a funnel clearing message, I guess, for lack of a better word, for somebody who was potentially maybe kind of sort of interested with disappeared kind of thing. This is somebody who says they're interested and then kind of fiddle farts around too much and doesn't really commit, or even somebody that maybe you've sent a link to or sent more information to or sent a video and they haven't gotten back to you, all that kind of stuff. I send them this one last message, and then that way I'm not sending them 8,000 messages. So this person, I sent a bunch of these last week. It says, I'm just checking in one last time before my July challenge group starts. I'm here to help you get set up and get plugged into our awesome community for support and encouragement while you build your new habits. Message me tonight so I can get you all set up. You need to tell them what to do. You can't just say, hey, let me know if you're interested. Like, you need to say, send me a message with your goals. Send me your intentions. You need to tell people what to do. But that way I don't have to keep sending them message after message after message and wonder how many times to check up. So this person probably got a nudge from me like 3 times before I got this. Hey, what did you think of the video I sent you? Hey, is everything okay? I just want to make sure. I haven't heard from you in a while. I should make sure nothing happened. Everything's okay, and you're just busy. I know you're busy. I know people get busy, whatever. And then I send something like that. So copy and paste it and save it. Make it your own, and use it. So then that way you don't have to keep following up with someone who's clearly not answering you.
No, that's really good. Can you share that in the team page so that for people who don't get a chance to, oh my gosh, it sounds like my children are about to fall through the ceiling.
I just want to say something too. I saw Michelle, she's on here. She does the birthday messages. It has a conversation that goes back and forth, and then it just kind of dries up. She's not sure why it doesn't go very far. I think that's the part where you need to go into the invite process. And that's when you say, you know, I'm sure you've seen by my post on Facebook, you know, maybe you've noticed that I've been really working on my nutrition and fitness. Do you think that that's something that you might want to lean into with me? Or would you like to know a little bit more about it? I mean, that's what I would do with that. That may help anybody else here that has that same kind of when to take that next step. That's how I kind of do it. So, but I don't do it like right away. Like I'll wait maybe a week or two when I feel like the time is right. I'll, continuing to form with that person, commenting on their pictures, liking their posts. You're genuinely interested in this person's life. And then you're already having the conversation on the side with a private message. And then you just say, look, I'm in a challenge group that I'm really enjoying, and I would love to see if you wanted to learn more about it.
That's so good.
So I think when you would go back to you would go into the invite.
That's really good. Thank
The
you.
other thing I want to say too is just is a positive share real quick. None of this call is long. One of the people that I remember Sarah Kroger had told me at I think our retreat, you don't have the right to hold someone's future in your mouth, like meaning it's like a judgment thing. Like you're judging, saying I'm not going to invite that person because XYZ. They're not going to be interested, or whatever the case may be. One of my coaches, and I have very small amount of coaches. Okay. She would comment on my stuff, and she's gonna know that it's about her, but that's okay. She's not on the call, but she'll listen to it. She was like my jazzercise instructor years ago, and she's very into health and fitness, and she's a runner, and she would like and comment on my stuff, but I never really invited her because I just assumed that she's got it going on. She's happy. She's got her health and fitness jam. She's good to go. She's not going to want necessarily anything to do with what we have. She reached out to me. And she said, what is that you're doing? I'm interested in knowing a little bit more about it. And she's doing great. I mean, she's plugged in. She's, a coach, and it just goes to show that people are watching, and we just need to keep inviting, because that's where you don't know that there's somebody out there that's maybe wishing that you would invite them. So the worst that's going to happen is they're going to say no. So we have a gift to offer, we really do. So that's all.
No, that's a great quote. I think the original statement it was passed down was from this guy named Tony Migrant, who is like one of the founding coach who talks about not holding your future captive. And I feel like it's something that really has stuck with all of us, because it's trickled down, you know what I mean? Like, because it's true. If you think about it, like I was thinking about it because it's been 7 years for me, and like I wouldn't be who I am. I wouldn't know any of you. Like, I mean, the only person on here I knew, like Sarah said, was Sarah, but we were like acquaintances, and she would have moved to Worcester and I wouldn't have known her anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I can't even imagine where I'd be as a wife and a mom. The way my belief has changed, the way I have changed the way I see myself, the way I've healed my relationships with my dad and my like family members, like because of the growth I've had, or when I like it, just so many things. So you're right. Like I think of those things when I'm talking to someone, and if someone ever feels like you're being insincere to share with them, I just want to share this with you because it's done so much in my life. And they're not gonna, that's all you have to say, and if it's not for you, that's totally okay. But I just feel like I have to share it with you. So thank you guys for leaning in tonight. This was a great call. So many good things. I love how everyone shared how they do different things. And like we'll have an invite thread in the team page where we can be sharing stuff that we're sending and wording so we can get ideas. And you can always ask questions in there as well. And we'll have a call next week. I'll let you know the topic soon. I wrote it all down. Now I can't think of what it was. With Summit going on, I want to make sure we're maximizing our Summit time. So it might even be like a call where we hang out and talk about the takeaways of the things that we've learned based on what's going on. So I need to look at that schedule. But let me say a little quick prayer, and let's all take a picture. We need to be posting photos on Instagram after like different things like this, because this is a great way to highlight our business and tagging one another. So everybody smile. I'll draw stick figures of the people that hopped off on the bottom. if you don't know everyone's Instagram handle, we can share them in the team page. But whenever you work out together or you hop on any kind of working Zoom, take pictures of that, because it really, I mean, I know it sounds silly, but it really shows like how you do it, right? All right, so let's pray. Sorry about the stampeding earlier. It was like supposed to be bedtime, and I feel like one of these a leg is going to come dangle like on a call from my crazy boys. All right. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this team. Lord, I'm so grateful for our time tonight and the way we've leaned in to share the nuggets that we've learned about how to serve and love and provide value to people. God, we have such a gift in this business, and we have a hurting culture. We have so many people that feel isolated and alone, who are struggling with feeling comfortable in their skin, marriages that are strained, moms that are burned out. And Lord, you have given us a gift that provides hope. The tools that we have to help with taking care of our bodies, the community we have, that to where you dwell, to help us take care of our minds and our soul. And I ask that you would just, Lord, pour out a double portion of blessing upon our team. Give us the strength to do your will daily with great obedience, effort, confidence, joy. Let us just believe in the truth that you're with us in this, God. And I just pray for you to increase our belief. I pray over our challengers that they would break through any barriers that are holding them back from reaching their goals. I pray for my coaches and our coaches, this family, that you would help us to break through the barriers that hold us back from believing in what you have called us to do. I just declare your name, Jesus, that you would just literally be that burning light in the sky that leads us to where you want us to be as a team, that we would be that bright light in the Beachbody culture and in the world, that we would, when people see us as coaches, they see us as different because of you. And that as we struggle to serve well, that you would just walk with us and encourage us and speak that truth and life into our hearts and our minds, so that we don't doubt, God. And when that mean girl that discourages us to not believe and think that things aren't true, that we're doing the wrong thing, that when we hear that, we'll know that's not you, and that that's actually confirmation we're doing the right thing. I pray against the doubt and the fear. I pray against the lie that we're not enough. I pray against division in our team. I pray against anything that would come between us, because we are a family, Lord. You have made this the Freedom Family. You have given us a mission that is rooted in you. And I just give you so much thanks, God. I thank you for the leadership of these beautiful men and women on our team and the way that they lean in and just lead with such heart. And God, I just ask that you would just bless us, give us good rest tonight, help us with the rest of this week, help us to reach our goals and to give you glory in all that we do. And we thank you, God, so much. In your most holy name we pray. Amen. All right, everybody. Have a great night. Thanks for being on.